Easter to everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're watching now live with us or you're watching in the rerun, I want to let you know I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch. How's everybody out there doing? Hope everybody's doing good today. Uh, yeah, a lot of interesting things this week. I did finally get the opportunity to record part two of the conversation with my Uncle Carlton, so that'll be coming out tomorrow. I did get the new computer, as you can see. I can start throwing my logo back up again when I do these. Hey, Ben, greetings. Happy Easter to you, sir. Happy Easter. Yeah, I got my computer here, and finally, that came through this week for me. Um, and yeah, so I can throw my logo up now when I do my live streams. and but Interestingly enough, with the Tascam 32 track recorder, I went down to the local store to take a look at, they had it in stock according to their website. But the guy says, no, 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 that's at our other store, which is, pretty far away, but not that far away. So I figured it would take a day or so for that to come through. And he said, oh, no, no, you have to wait till after Easter. I had completely forgot about Easter because I'm so busy doing work and everything else. When he said you'll have to wait till after Easter, I was like, completely forgot about that. So, but anyway, that's in the pipeline. So that's coming too. So I'm happy about that. Um, Interestingly enough, it's been a very good week. Um, Everything's been very good here upstairs to the right studio. I hope things have been going well with you guys. Where should we start tonight? Okay. I do believe we're going to start talking about tonight, start with the Epiphone price increases and Gibson as well. I have been saying to you guys for quite a while now that, I fully expect for there to be a day when you start seeing $1,500 Epiphones. And I think that day is come to us a lot closer, a lot faster than I really thought. I knew it was coming, but we are creeping so much faster to that point where we are catching up to that $1,500 mark on a lot of certainly with the artist model, the signature artist model editions, and quite a few others like this one. Oh boy, I brought it out. So the 1959, you guys know this one. Uh, this 59, when it first came out, I got it for about $700 US from a dealer. And at that time, I believe that they were going for, hey, happy Easter. Um, what was it? It was $8.99 or something like that, or $7.99 they were going for when they first came out. Then they went to $8.99. But anyway, at this point, that guitar is now listing for $9.99. And a lot of their other models went up. A lot of the Gibson models went up as well. To From when I bought my standard 60s Gibson, I got that for, I had a trade in with that. So, but I would say I roughly paid about 2,100 US at the time for it from the same dealer that I got this Epiphone. And they are now got to the point where they're listing for $29.99, which is, you know, somebody pointed out on one forum that I was reading, the guy said, well, back in 2019, Gibsons were going for $31.99, and I thought to myself, well, no, that's not true, because when the new guys came in, they dropped the price down to the $22.99 that I paid for mine, or mine was listed for at the time. And I had to look back, and yes, for a few months, when the Harry J era was at its very end, that is true. At one point, the Les Paul standards were listed, I think from January to through April, they were listed for $31.99. And then when the new team came in, they dropped down to, I do believe it was, I don't want to say $24.99. I just have $22.99 stuck in my head. But in any case, certainly not the $3,000 that they are currently now asking. And yeah, that is just really something. Although to be expected, as I said, I've been saying for months now, I'm not the only one, but I have been aware that this is the trajectory that things are going, and this is why I said a few months ago, oops, still getting the hang of this. There we go. Yeah, that if you were going to get something, that would be the time to do it, a couple of months ago. And now I'm at the point where, if you're a buyer and you have cash, you could probably start to see deals starting to happen, though certainly there's not the avalanche of things that I expected, but it's certainly a market out there for a buyer. It's not a seller's market. So all these things have come to pass. It's just the way it is. I myself, I'm not going to argue one way or the other about whether there's merits to these price increases or not. There are a lot of issues behind them. It's a very complex thing. Is it corporate greed? Yes, there is a certain aspect of it. Of corporate greed involved in it. Is it manufacturing and basically supply chain? Yes, it's also in part of that as well. Probably one under the guise of another, or one using the other as cover. Is kind of how I feel. That kind of is why this is playing out the way it is. Is it now a $9.99 guitar to me when I sit here and look at it? I got to tell you, it's a gorgeous thing. This is an absolute beauty. This is my third year of owning this guitar, and I have to say, hey, greetings, welcome. Yeah, this is my third year of owning this guitar, and it's my number one. To be honest with you now, and it's like the first Epiphone in history to go up in price, go up in price in resale. I'm kidding, but it's kind of not really. But it's an interesting thing to behold. Would I be a buyer at this point at $1,000 for this guitar? Well, given all the other choices, Gibsons have gone up in their price. There are others out there like was it the V1000s, or I can think of several companies that they make a decent Les Paul knockoff, but this is an Epiphone that has the right to say Les Paul on it, because it's part of the Gibson company, and so therefore this would be my first choice. So yeah, I probably would pay that price for it. Yeah, I probably would still go for this guitar even now at its current price point if I was in the market to buy. I'm thankful that I bought it when it first came out. People were screaming then. I don't know if you remember, but people were really screaming then about, oh my gosh, the new Epiphone Les Paul is like $800 or something. How is this? It was. a lot of not positive feelings about that when it first happened. I refuse to pay crazy prices. I'll take overseas and all from Mini Maker over paying several grand for the real thing. Well, yeah, I dig that sentiment too. I'm not going to argue that because the real working class musician, like I said last week, are very pragmatic. I consider myself to be certainly in that class. I'm very pragmatic when it comes to things, and I look at this Epiphone, and I don't get into where it's manufactured now, because the reality is that Indonesia, Korea and Japan in particular for decades have been in China with Epiphone, with the fact that there's an Epiphone factory that is self-contained with people who have worked there for 20 plus years. The designer of this guitar and a lot of the other guitars there is Eastman from the Cars. Him and another guy worked on the Les Paul Classic, putting input into these things. So a lot of experience there, and so therefore, yeah. Again, I have no problem with its provenance. It really comes down to how I feel about the fit, finish, and build. This one, the only complaint, and it's a major complaint that you'll ever hear about Epiphones, and if you know how to do it, is the fret dressing. I'm still, I got a lot of wear and tear. Sorry, guys, I got a lot of wear and tear on this guitar. I don't know if you can see that in the fretboard here. That's all just wearing from playing. And in doing that, you do work, on getting those fret edges to where you like them. They're still a little bit sharper up here than where I like, but certainly that's not a big deal. You can take it to a luthier and have them work on it, or like I said, if you can figure it out, you can do it yourself. There's a lot of different ways that you can go about fixing a small issue like that. Other than that, it was perfect. It's a fantastic guitar. I sold my Les Paul Standard and kept this one because I was being pragmatic again. I agree totally. I love Gretsch guitars. I bought their version of Epiphone, the Electromatic, and blown away by its quality. Oh yeah, man. Last time I was in Japan, and it's sad to say how long it's been now, 2019. I got to check out those Japanese made Gretsches, and I was blown away because I just didn't have that opportunity to be around Gretsches like that. And they at TC Gaki, there in Tokyo, Ota, they have the best selection of Japanese made Gretsches I've ever seen. And even just the lower tier ones were just absolutely awesome. That was a couple of years ago now. I'm sure that's the same thing. But yeah, it doesn't matter its provenance. And I think that, the standards and most certainly the custom shop Gibson stuff, that's doctors, lawyers, investors, collectors. That's the territory that those are now pretty much what migrated towards. And Gibson knows their profit margins on those things, and they know how many cats are going to buy them by now, and so they're rolling the dice and figuring that's enough of a market for them to sustain themselves going forward. Why do you think they built that Gibson? Hey, welcome. Happy Easter. Why do you think they built that custom shop? Just got an Eastman. Absolutely, yeah. The Eastmans, ooh boy. Those Eastmans with the violin finish. It's not poly, it's not nitro, it's a violin varnish that they do on those. It wears a lot quicker, but the wear on that is beautiful, a very beautiful kind of relicking, so to speak, natural relicking over time. And just when they're new, they're just gorgeous. There's a couple of them down the street here from me. There's a lot of Eastmans here in Amsterdam. There's a lot of them for sale, and I've checked them out. It would be the next if if it wasn't for the fact that I'm totally happy and satisfied with this 59 Epiphone, I would go for an Eastman next. Yeah, they're gorgeous. Those Eastman guitars are absolutely beautiful. If you haven't checked them out in person, you really should, especially the ones with the violin finish. They have a couple, and they retail. I don't know what they are now. A couple of months ago, they were retailing around $1,800 US, and a little bit up there. The violin finish ones were much more. Those were 23, 24. Eastmans are so wonderful. Congrats on the Eastman. Yeah, they certainly are. Um, yeah, and good buy, good purchase. Farber Hardware, Lolar pickups. That's the thing. Are those Lolar pickups? Because the wiring in my Epiphone here, this 59 is actually Lolar wiring of the caps and pots. Um, and I had for a minute considered putting the Lolar pickups a set of in here, but fortunately I found the pickups that I like. But that value in itself is a lot of money. You're getting a lot of value with those Eastman guitars, no doubt, absolutely, without question. So I would go for those. I'd go for this one if I wanted to get the value of a standard, or even better than that, long neck 10. And again, you just saw the list of things that the hardware. Uh, really, you wouldn't be doing yourself a dishonor by going for one of those Eastman guitars. And so, if I wanted to keep in a reasonable budget range, I'd go for the 59. If not, I'd shoot for the Eastman, and I'd just leave the Gibsons alone. I wouldn't even touch them, because that top end Eastman puts a lot of those custom shops to shame, and that's my. And I played them. I played them all, and that's really my opinion. If you don't care about the headstock, I think you'd be doing yourself a favor by looking at those. But the price increases, getting back to that subject, are, like I said, I'm not, I don't have a crystal ball. It was pretty much anybody could see that was coming, and you shouldn't be surprised. I think the rapidity of them is what's surprising. The fact that they're coming back to back to back to back. It seems like they're coming every few months, every quarter, and again, you have to make that decision in yourself, about a conscious decision about, do I think that this is a game that I want to play. Now, you could go into the used market and, you know, there are deals to be had, not on Reverb, no place like that, but there are deals to be had in a lot of private mom and pop shops, pawn shops, places like that. You gotta start lifting up a couple of rocks. You're looking up under the rocks, like they used to say, in this case, to find the deals, but they're there to be had. If you're really going to do it, I would just go into the used market anyway. My understanding is, honestly, with Gibsons, that 2019 60s that I got is the epitome of what they were doing. Now the quality control is, you always hear stories of how it's bad, but it is. Even in the Gibson fan, the guys who love Gibson forums, they're admitting that it's starting to degrade, and they're changing a lot of things, materials, and charging more. And so, you really have to decide if you feel like playing that game or not. I don't. Yeah. On the gear page, yeah. And my understanding, on the gear page. And in the marketplace, if you guys aren't familiar, the gear page is a great site for information about just about any kind of gear you can imagine in our genre. But my understanding on their marketplace, things aren't moving at all. Again, like I said, it is not a seller's market. It's a buyer's market. Now, you're going to get some hardheads out there, who are just going to cling on and hang on. And again, and the psychology of it as well, because you read a lot of guys saying, "Oh, I wouldn't pay 50 cents for one of those things," those cheap imports, because they have a kind of a cognitive dissonance. Buyer's market is so right, yeah, yeah. They have a kind of a they're stuck in a time. Hey, Anthony, welcome. They're stuck in a time zone. They're stuck in a frame of mind of when they were a teenager in 1980, whatever, 40 years ago, for Squires and for Epiphones, basically. And the quality of those at that time were rough because they were just getting started. Uh, in terms of the Epiphone factory, in terms of Squires, those were excellent. Those were always good, but kind of this mentality that they're cheap imports got stuck in some people's mind. Nostalgia, that's right, keeps a Gibson. Well, nostalgia keeps, again, like I'm saying right now, is what keeps people locked in a certain price range as well. They're like I said, they think that those are cheap guitars. Well, they're not anymore. They're actually excellent, excellent, and they are way overpriced. Which no, actually, honestly, they're about right. That's so true about Gibson. Yeah, dig that, as one of my guitar teachers used to tell me, used to say. And they really are betting on, in the case of Gibson, that their market is going to, again, I was alluding to the Gibson Garage. Who's that for? It's not for me. I'm not going to go down there and spend now $8,000, $9,000 so I can pick out the wood and get my own special color and wait however many months it's going to take for them to get that together and get it to me. I couldn't imagine that. First, laying that kind of bread out for that period of time, because it takes months. There's a back order on all that stuff. And I couldn't imagine that. There's no working musician that I ever knew of that would do something like that. And so, yeah, their market viewpoint is skewed towards a different kind of pocketbook, and they're betting on that, which is again why they invested in that Gibson custom shop or so garage, custom garage. So yeah, so just nothing biggie here, nothing to see here, folks. keep moving, folks. Nothing to see here. you know, it's par for the course, and we are certainly not at the end of these price increases. You ain't seen nothing yet, kids. So, you know, that's why I've been saying I'm good. That's why the motto of this channel, and I really should do T-shirts or mugs or something that says I'm good, because and it's one of the reasons why I've been speaking on this for months and over a year now, because just get yourself in a place where you're good, and it doesn't matter what goes on out there, whatever insanity hits the market, because it's not hitting you because you don't care, because you're good. I still have my two old Strats and one Gibson Les Paul from high school and college years. No real need to purchase. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're good. You're more than good. If you still held on to your stuff, because of my touring life, once I hit Japan, I lost a lot of gear. I've told you guys these stories. And then the moving around from Japan to England to Singapore to here and there, I was never able to really hang on to anything other than pedals and small things. And one guitar. Two guitars, my acoustic and one electric. Evening, Mike. Happy Easter all. Just struggled to find the price of Epi, let alone a Gibson. No, I'm not. And I'm not here to. I'm not a defender of that either. If I was in the position of being a working musician and I need to have a solid electric guitar, and there's a lot of people always throw out a lot of other ones, but you got to take the neck in consideration, because there's a lot of fast necks, and I need a thicker neck, and so that's going to limit your choices. There's a lot of things that go into that, and I myself would go, I'd still pay the grand. I'd make sure that the gigs that I was doing, justified offset me paying that money. But I'd go for something like the Epiphone. Um, and that's if I was gigging. Right now, no, there's no way. I wouldn't buy one of these at $9.99. At the 700 US that I bought it for 3 years ago. I considered that a deal then, and I know now it really is. It's a screaming deal. If the guy works and gets the job done, that's what matters the most. Yes, that is again the subtext of this channel. I'm good. That's we are the congregation of the I am good crowd here. We're not, we're not really in this at this moment to worry or fret because we already have what we need. You know, when you're younger and you're ambitious, then you want to do things like that. But as you get older, you start to shed things. I mean, the original day of the 70s kept them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Guitars are good things to hold on to. I mean, like, I joked in the beginning about this being the first Epiphone to ever go up in value on resale. But it does kind of show you a little something there. Hey, Mickey. Welcome. Glad to see you. There was one thing about, and this Epiphone kind of goes to show if you get the right ones, you're not really going to lose a lot. And this one is a right one. If you got it in on it back when it first came out, you have certainly done well. And there's others out there. Percentage wise, this thing keeps cutting out. I'm just gonna let it out anyway. Just happy to have my computer back. I still gotta figure out how to do this screen thing. Yeah, it's the Gibson and the Epiphone in terms of value of loss percentage of loss that you would get on them. All things being equal, you'd actually lose more on a Gibson than you would with an Epiphone. So just something that's actually quite true. But again, no, I wouldn't buy one of these now. I got, if you got it in at the price that I did, that a lot of you guys out there who have one did, then you're smiling right now. You're happy. All right, the next subject is the Guitar Center. So I've been reporting on the Guitar Center for a little bit, and there was a news piece on the internet that came up that said that Guitar Center has now actually officially been rated down to junk status. And so, enjoying this, just started on your site and subscribe. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I'm glad you joined the community. We have a lot of fun here. A lot of good folks here. A lot of really, really cool people here. As you know, Guitar Center is owned by the Aries Group. And now with Guitar Center officially being marked down to junk bond status. Now, you've got AAA status at the top side of it. You got C status at the bottom end. B, which is what the guitar, B1 is what the Guitar Center is now rated as, can be considered as speculative risk or AKA junk bond. So that's basically why it's junk bond status. Now, why is that? Well, they've been experiencing extremely weak earnings. And, I think that you can tie their weak earnings in with they're trying to get a lot of used gear in. They're trying to be the used gear company, try to get everybody to get their stuff in. I don't know what kind of rates they're offering. Maybe it's competitive, maybe it's not now. I know it never was, so I doubt that it is now. But their marketing of that, their website portal, and a lot of other issues really are keeping that from being the success that I think that they wanted it to be, where they could experience some real growth. The pandemic saw a surge in their sales along with everybody else. The rising tide floats every boat. But, you know, honestly, their weak earnings now are just a symbol of our earlier story about it's not a seller's market, it's a buyer's market, and that hits everybody on the retail side. Yeah, their website has always sucked. Yeah, really, seriously, it really does. I checked it out when it first launched. That I was like, oh, maybe I'll take a look at this. But no, it really wasn't good, and there's not a lot of great communication between stores too, which is you've got to have that because it's here, but I need it here, or it's got to go here, and they were just really blowing that. So yeah, weak earnings. They are only their earnings are so weak. They're not making enough money to make their interest payments at this point. Only 0.9x of their interest payments. They basically they're in bad shape now. And again, as I was saying, you got AAA at the top, then you got C at the bottom. Hey, greetings! Welcome, welcome. Everybody's welcome. Welcome to the party. We're talking about the Guitar Center United States and how they're. It's like watching a slow happening car wreck. But we're getting a little bit into the minutia of why that is exactly. Like I said, there's AAA bonds, and then down at the bottom end of that, you got your C, and that's the bottom end of it. Now, why aren't they a C? You're saying to yourself, well, Moody's, which gives out credit ratings, for better or worse, I won't get into that right now, but Moody's feels that not going into the end of this year and going into next year that they're going to start seeing their pre-coof sales levels return. Now, so that's why their B tranche, their B1, they're not, which is B1 is top, 2 is of course the middle. It's pretty it's self-explanatory. 3 it would be the bottom. It's not a B3 or anything like that. It's just like the lowest of the low. It's like right before C. Obviously, no, they're B1 because they're hopeful that they can see growth going into the end of this year, going into next year. The economic headwinds of things that we see going across the board and everything else would, especially in the musical gear market, would point otherwise. Credit is tightening up. A lot of people, I myself, I pay cash for everything that I buy. But a lot of people will put things on layaway, or they'll make payments on it, and that's cool. Guitar stores over here are disappearing at a rate of dominant, yeah. And when you have a situation where you have all the big players like Aldertons and others, Tomons and the like, that squeeze out the mom and pop shops because they can't fight those kind of margins that those guys are getting. And actually, the reality, their margins aren't that great. Their margins they're like you're gonna lose every dollar on a dollar on every guitar, but you'll make it up in value. But they're squeezing out the mom and pop shops, and soon you're not going to be left with a lot of choices. So yeah, there's that end of the spectrum as well. But Guitar Center, they're counting on these things to increase in terms of sales going into next year. But the more surprising thing that I read in that report is that they're actually saying that the biggest sales and the main thing that they're counting on right now is guitar lessons. And I thought to myself, guitar lessons? Really? Is that the big thing that is making up the bulk of their earnings right now? Is guitar lessons? Okay. I caved and pre-ordered the Spark. I just had to. Yeah, I mean, if you gotta have it, you gotta have it. Caving. No, I don't want you to feel the word caving means that you're giving into an impulse that you did not really want or need to do. Um, don't so you cave. That's kind of But if you really need it, then do it, man. You gotta pull the trigger, and it's not gonna get any cheaper. If you're gonna get something, you should have got it, before. But if you didn't, I would certainly jump on it now. Because my God, who knows what that spark's going to be going down the line now. So good on you. But yeah, guys, getting back to the guitar lessons at the Guitar Center. Wow, really? That's where they're making the bulk of their earnings? So, what do I think? I think they're screwed. I think Aries Group is going to try to dump this turkey, the first sucker that comes along that they can fish and hook in to take it. Because I don't see the sales being going into next year being really something that's going to contribute to their rating getting. And by the way, they came out of bankruptcy. They got an A3 rating, and now they've lost that. How far has the Mighty Guitar Center has fallen? Well, it's a mixed bag with me and my sentiment because I'm of that generation. To tell the truth, the order, yeah, I'm of that generation. I grew up on the Guitar Center. My first electric guitar, I bought at the Guitar Center in Hollywood. I told you guys, it was a Squire. And the first real guitar that I considered that I actually owned, because everything else before that was kind of junky. But you know, then there were times when I would go in there and they'd be absolute dicks. I would take a Sam Ash or Manny's music. Well, I would go across the street because there's Sam Ash right across the street from the Guitar Center and on Sunset. So you can just go across the street and go see Sammy. Well, you know what? If you're not gonna give me a deal, I'll go talk to Sammy across the street. And so yeah, and that's the one that I never got to go to in New York City. I really wish that I got to visit that place. Um, uh, but the one in LA has been there forever, and that's the one I grew up going to. But that's my generation, and they would be. And I go in there. I was explaining to one guy about a microphone. I said, "Well, I'm looking for this one. What do you need it for?" I used this. It was a vocal mic, but it had a certain property to it where if you put it inside of a kick drum, I would take that along with one on the outside and blend the two of those together. I had certain just screwing around, and I found out I liked it. And he looked at me like, "Oh, huh, is that what you do?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm working in studios. Yeah, you know where I'm going with it. It just really ticked me off." And a few other instances like that where I was trying to say something because he asked me. I wasn't just saying it. He says, "Where are you going to use it?" Well, this is what I used it for. And he looked at me like I was a space alien. And I said, "I know that's not what it's generally for, but we have a tendency to use things that, like the MPC 60. We used the MPC 60s when they first came out in ways that the guys at Akai didn't even imagine, that it could be done with it." And that's just, but in any case, so I have a love-hate thing with them. So we'll see how that turns out. Hey, if I was a betting man, nah, I don't know. Like I said, Aries Group, Aries Capital, they're going to have to find themselves another sucker. They're really going to have to reel in somebody to buy this turkey because if they're counting on sales, they ordered a lot of inventory. Everybody ordered because there was a shortage. They didn't have everything, and everybody's putting in all these orders. And now all these orders are starting to hit the stores, and the story is the same almost everywhere, where they're saying to the distributors, "Hey, enough is enough. We're not even moving the ones that we have right now." And on top of that, every quarter you keep increasing the prices on the ones that we have. And so you're killing us. So, I don't know. I just don't think so. And then there's other markets. You think it's any different than, guitars than it is with golf clubs? Ever look at golf clubs before? One that you buy new and what you get it on resale or trade in? You think guitars are bad? Just be glad that you don't have a golf. I don't have one either, but a lot of people in my family do, especially my pop. He loves golf, still plays golf when he can, and my brother. So yeah, just an example, just to throw that out there, something to chew on. So, guys, I've been sitting here bragging about getting my new computer this week. Well, it's not new, it's actually a used Mac, but it's from a shop here down the street that was repairing my other one since I've been here. They're great guys. I never have to worry about this again because if something goes wrong, I can take it down to them and they'll hook me up. And of course, getting this set up, I had to load in all of my old software. I do double backups of everything. So my entire hard drive from the old computer, that was backed up on two, removable disks. So everything, my video editing software loaded up, and not only did it load up, but because the new computer has the latest OS, whereas my other one had a much older version. When the minute I loaded in my software for my film editing, for video editing software, they automatically gave me their top tier. I've been a lifetime member with them. I got their newest version. And it's like, oh my gosh, the effects and things. If I get a little effect crazy in my upcoming content, regular content, then you guys, you know why. He's like, oh, Mike got a new film editor, which I did. And it's awesome. I can't wait to edit it, do something with it. I'll do the stuff I'm doing this week, obviously. But everything loaded up except for Studio One. Now, as you guys know, I've used Studio One since 2011, 2012. I've been using it, and I got up to Studio One 4 on my last computer, and like everything else, I had it backed up, and so when I went to go load it into my new computer, I was prompted to a screen that said, enter in your email address and your code for your software code, which I put both in. And it bumped me out, and for some reason it said that it did not recognize my email. Okay, interesting. Now, if you have a problem, you have to log in to Prosonus and enter in a ticket for the help desk. In order to log in, you have to have an email that they have on file that they verify with your password, which I have as well. I have all this stuff written down so I don't lose it, and nothing's changed. And I cannot even do that because they're not recognizing my email. So I went through my email and I pulled up an old help desk ticket that I had that I kept in my folder that I had, and I used that to email them and said, "Hey, look, I can't. I need you to do something." And it used to be that you would have a person write you back and say, okay, Mr. McWilliams, we've looked at this, and now it prompts back and says, we got a ticket in your help desk, just log in and we can help you out. Well, wait a minute, my problem is with my email. So, okay, I'll call them. Well, there's no number that works from the EU to the States that you can call. Well, where's their EU representative? Well, you can't call them. They're not answering. So you have to email them. I emailed them and I haven't heard a word from them, not a word. So at this moment, as you know, it was my plan. I've already ordered it. It is again on its way. It is coming. My Tascam 32 track, the DP32. I'm gonna park it right here behind me. And that was going to be the basis of my foray into going back into hardware recording. I was going to start filling up these racks with delays and reverbs, compressors, and things of that nature, and really start moving away from using the computer. I would still do some of my basic editing, record it on the Tascam, transfer it over, because the Tascam runs on these. So this is your data storage for that Tascam DP32. So you can obviously take this medium, load your tracks from the DP32, put it into your computer, load that into Studio One was my plan, do my basic editing, and then put it back into the DP for a final mixdown. Without Studio One, that makes that a little bit difficult. And it's the reason why I am ultra pissed. Now, guys, this is going to be my rant. So if you don't like rants, I should have brought some more to drink, because I know my throat's going to go dry. And if I curse a little bit, you'll forgive me. But screw those guys at Prosonus. A few years ago, they had real customer service, where if you had a problem, you could email them and somebody would write you back. Now it's all automated. And if you have a problem like I have, that's regarding something going on their end, why aren't they, this is I'm emailing you from the email that I registered with you. This is your own support ticket from, a few years back. It's an open ticket. So therefore it should, and in that original email thread, you can see where I'm talking back and forth with a person. I'm emailing back and forth where they're assisting me. Now it's all automated. And so therefore my option now is to repurchase Studio One. Now in that I have three options. Of course, they have a subscription service that they're trying to move everything to everybody to, which is leading you to what I warned you about. You will own nothing, and be happy about it. They'll own your music basically, because I can't do anything without Studio One at this point. I'm screwed until I can transfer everything over into the DP32. And then start using that platform going forward. If you have a situation like this come up, and it comes up a lot more often than you think, and then of course last week or the week before, the issue with Waves, and how they were trying to sweep their perpetual license owners like me under the rug, and move everybody into their subscription service. And the second choice for Prosonus, of course, is the one that I had. I had Studio One Professional. It's $3.99 now. I don't know what I paid for it. I bought it quite a few years ago and just paid for the upgrades. Probably more than that with the upgrades at this point. But in any case, and then there's a third option. Avoid Pro Tools with this kind of stuff all the time. Yeah, my uncle Carlton is really pissed because his Pro Tools is acting up on him. He can't do anything. It's So he has a buddy of his who has a Pro Tools studio coming over to try to help him out, and I don't know if he resolved that or not. So yeah, there's that. And so screw those guys. And I've got, and then there's 9.99, so $100 you can get the basic Studio One, which looking at what it offers and what it does, it was essentially what I was going to use it for anyway. Because I don't use their, the Pro gives you 32 of their built-in plugins. The standard one for $100 only gives you 28. I mean, I have my own plugins, but again, look at what happened with Waves. You understand what I mean? It's a mess. However you look at it. And it just drives me nuts. And so, yeah, I'm stuck there. I know it's going to happen. I'm going to have to pay the $100 and buy that basic one because I can't get through to them. I've been trying all week since Monday or Tuesday. I've been trying to get in touch with them, and just no dice. So it really just put the nail in the hammer, as to why I'm happy that I put the order in for that DP32. Because really, it's so true. I really don't think you're gonna own your music too much if you get locked out of whatever you're using to produce it with. If it's not hardware based, if you don't own it, you don't hold it. It's just like, some media. You buy it, but you don't actually have a physical copy of it, like video games. What if you get locked out? That money's flushed down the toilet. And a lot of things are moving, and those subscription things. When I saw that Prosonus had started a subscription program, I was like, "Yapari," which is the Japanese word for I thought so, because probably may have to go back ADAT, and yeah, that's what I did. I had an ADAT system. Jock and we cut our teeth on ADATs. I love that system. And we had a Mackie mixer, 32 track or something like that, 36, something like that. No, maybe it was even bigger than that. Maybe it was 42. We had a huge Mackie mixer running 24 tracks of ADAT. But Mackie. Yeah. Those Mackie mixers are awesome. I don't care what you think. Get yourself a Mackie mixer from the 90s and you'll be laughing. Especially one of the bigger ones. Great preamps. Faders were absolute, really good EQs. Built like a tank. You can't go wrong. So I just got fed up. I said to myself, wow, they have really got me by the balls right now because I want to get in. As you guys know, it's like, I'm working on my album that I finished and doing a little of the mastering myself. And I was going to go full on it. But they've got me by the balls right now. Now, fortunately, I have all of the WAV files for the album. I can transfer those again, like I said, to the little 32 SD disc. I can transfer that and drop those from my computer. I have those backed up. As soon as I get the 32, I can immediately drop those in and save them for that format, and I can actually mix them again from that if I never got another little bit of software again. So there is that, and plus all my others. So I have the WAV files for all of them, for everything. So, which is independent whether you have whatever, you're using as a DAW. So it pisses me off. That's not what I want to do. So I'm going to bite the bullet, spend $99, get the basic version. I think I've been kicked out of the system because I haven't been paying attention. I haven't done an update for a while now, and I did the album using it. I had no problems at all. and now trying to go back in again. All of a sudden, I'm kicked out of the system. So something tells me that I wasn't grandfathered back in like I should be, and trying to get through their little wall is going to be quite difficult. I will buy the basic model. That will give me the chance to re-register again with a new product key, and then be able to put in a support ticket and say, hey, I was an owner of your pro level. You need to kick me back up to that level again, and we'll see how that flies. At the very least, I'll have the basic version, which will do what I intend to do until I completely move over. Once I get my racks filled up here with the gear again, like it should be, compressors, EQs, delays, as again, like I said, maybe some really good mic preamps. Yeah, then screw it. I'll be completely done doing computer stuff. So I'm trying to limit that recording over here on the DP32, editing on the computer, and then back to do everything else. So that's my option right now. It pisses me off. I mean, screw those guys. I mean, really seriously, I've been a supporter. I've never really spoken poorly of them. I've never said anything bad about them before. But but this new way of doing business behind this paid, it's basically a paid pirate, a wall. You know, buy it and then we'll talk to you about it. Oh, you bought it, but we've decided that we've forgotten that you buy it. Well, you're screwed. Buy it again, and that's essentially where I'm at. That's basically what they've said to me. And so therefore there I am, and that's again, it just nails the nail, hammers the nail in the coffin as to why I'm just saying screw it to using the software based thing. And the cost of a lot of hardware stuff out there, even here in Europe, you'd be surprised if you know what to look for, which I do. Um, you can find some good deals. Yeah, it's straight up ransom. It really is. It's ransom, guys. You're ransoming your stuff. Your stuff. Yeah, you're held hostage, and that's how it is. We saw that again, like I said, with Waves until they backed off because people were like, "Wait a minute," and the Waves had to hit the pause button, and I'm yet to see whether that really has happened or not. Again, I can't until the other guy who's ransomed me. So I gotta pay that ransom to see if I have to pay another ransom. You see how that works? That's not cool. That's actually devious and not great. And I can't believe I walked into this trap because I had the gear. Look back at my Singapore videos and look at all the hardware that I had to because of the Mutu, because I couldn't bring a lot of stuff, guys, to be honest with you. But that's my own personal woes. But a lot of that hardware can be replaced very cheaply if you know what you're looking at, especially the '90s stuff. I saw, God, what was that? Was that a Roland SPX 300 or three times? It's a three-time delay thing from the '90s. Those things back in the day, that was a studio piece of gear. That I would see in the top studios. They had it here for about 500 euros. That's not bad. That's not bad. Been fully functional, clean environment. That would cover your delay needs and how it's better than a lexicon. Those things sound better. That's why they were in the studios back then. You had a lexicon, you had that one. That one had a creamier tone to the delays to it. But yeah, you can, if you know what you're looking for, you can find those deals, and I will be. I'm not going crazy because that's quite an expenditure. Yeah, that's going to be $2,000-3,000 by the time it's done. Even if I find it secondhand, the stuff that I want, so that's going to be slow. It's going to be a piece at a time. But yeah, I'm not gonna let them hold me ransom to doing producing and doing music anymore because that DP32 I can still send WAV files to my client or Jock and I, if we're trading files back and forth, we can still do it, and I'm not losing out on anything there. So that's the way I'm going. But Yeah, you know, think about it, you guys yourselves. Look at your situation, whatever your recording situation is, and make that determination yourself. And just keep those things in mind that I'm talking about. That they really are kind of holding us ransom in a lot of ways that I don't think that we're really thought through the implications of it. I think the last thing with Waves shone a light on that. I certainly think that on an individual level, I certainly got a good reminder of that when I went to. I did everything right. I backed everything up like I'm supposed to. Everything is backed up on my hard disk. I got two hard disks. I always learn, back it up twice just to be safe. And yeah, I did everything right on my end. It worked before in the past, and for some reason now it does not. So go figure. It should actually, even booting it up from my hard disk, it should automatically just jump in. I shouldn't have any of this. So yeah, they got me by the balls. $100. Okay, fine. I'll do that, and then I'm going to write the most scathing, help desk ticket they have ever seen. I just like, you guys are going to send me a free link to the professional that I paid for, because at the very least you owe me that. So that's it. All right. So those were the subjects for this evening. How are you guys doing out there? I want to thank each and every one of you always coming here every Sunday and joining me with these conversations, and people joining in for the first time tonight or in the rerun. I want to say thank you so much. It does mean a lot to me, and I'm glad you're joining the community here. Um, what's coming up this week? So I shot the thing with Uncle Carlton. That's done. That's in the box, in the computer. And I'll finish editing that and put that up. So it's going to be part two. He talks a little bit about the Allman Brothers. He was very good friends with the Allman Brothers. So he's going to talk about his experience with them. And the next thing that I'm filming here this week, I can finally get around. It's either going to be the unboxing of the DP, or it's going to be talking about the practice pedal board that I'm going to build for the next room. I told you I'm moving my Laney amp out of my living room here into the studio, and for some things that I want to do for demos going forward. And I'm building a practice headphone based kind of thing out that I can just sit on the couch and noodle with. That's a little bit of more of a step up than something like this box. You guys are familiar with these. This one is not so bad actually. The Vox Classic Rock is basically an AC30 emulation in here. It's not that bad, but it ain't that great. Did your uncle ever play in Muscle Shoals? I don't know. I will certainly make a note of that and ask him, and we'll see if we can get an answer for that. Yeah, you guys are familiar, but Muscle Shoals, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that in Florida? Am I wrong? Correct me on that. Yeah, these things. I mean, they're interesting, but to be honest with you, they're kind of junk. No, I'm talking about something a little bit more costly or a little bit more professional. Great show, Mike. I take care, everybody. Looking forward to future content. Hey, thank you so much, Ben. Yeah, so we'll be doing that, or we'll be doing an unboxing coming up. We'll be talking about one of those two things. And certainly Uncle Carlton will be coming out tomorrow. It will be coming out, so check that out. And yeah, thanks guys for showing up. I had a great show tonight, hanging out and talking about these things with you, as usual. The Alabama. I knew it was in the South. It rings a bell and the South comes to mind, but I'm sure he did. He was talking about the Chitlin Circuit. So please, if you're interested, watch the interview part two with Uncle Carlton coming out tomorrow. He really gets into a lot of those circuits that he was running through in the South. Yeah. All right, guys. Please take care of yourselves. A happy Easter to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I had a great time. I will see you next week, and stay tuned for content on this channel this week. And I appreciate you hitting the like. Appreciate you subscribing if you like what you saw, and I will see you next week. Bye.